Step 1, document everything. Step 2, checklists. Number 3, quality control. And number 4, open communication.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Holy smokes, everybody. It seems like the world is changing every time I turn around. I want to give you some ideas, some thoughts. I want to share with you 4 things today that you can do to keep up with all of this craziness. I want to pause here and remind you that we are sponsored by ANOW Software. ANOW, of course, is making it less crazy for all of us. They have a new walkthrough tool that is absolutely saving my bacon right now at work. I think my scheduler was about ready to wring my neck. Not that it was my neck that needed wrung, but boy, thank you, ANOW, for coming to the rescue with the walkthrough tool. I'll tell you about it in just a second. But right now, you can find out more by going to anow.com/walkthrough. It's anow.com/walkthrough. All right, folks, I want to start out by sharing with you a story from my childhood. And maybe kids don't do this anymore, but when I was a kid, not that I ever did this, nor did I ever fall for it, but I do hear rumor that some kids would send other kids on what they called a snipe hunt. Now, if you've never been on a snipe hunt, it sounds exciting, right? I mean, to catch a snipe, right? Your own snipe, your very own snipe, you can have one. Yeah, there's no such thing as a snipe. And the idea is that you send somebody, it's basically, it's very similar to the game that your parents probably played with you called the silent game. You know, who can be silent the longest and whoever talks first loses, right? The game wasn't about the game. It was about keeping you busy so mom and dad could have some peace of mind. A snipe hunt is not about catching snipes. It's more about, well, other than laughing at someone, it's more about keeping you busy, keeping you occupied, while whoever else is in the group can do other things. That's a snipe hunt, folks. But folks, here's the thing. Snipe hunts are very, very time consuming and they're frustrating, right? If you've ever been in a snipe, again, never personally been there, but I've heard rumor that those that have participated in snipe hunts find them very frustrating because you spend a lot of work, you do a lot of things for not a whole lot of payoff. Okay, there's really no payoff, right? How does this apply to today's situation? Very, very easily. I don't know about you, but every day it seems like I wake up to a new announcement from Fannie Mae, a new form from FHA, a new scope of work from VA, a new certification from Freddie Mac. It seems like every time I turn around, there's something new, and we're held accountable as appraisers to make sure that we, number one, not only know what's out there, but number 2, that we're following it. And as I talked to Tim Anderson, by the way, that interview is coming up this Sunday on what the new definition of misleading is. We're held responsible, folks. I'll just give you a little sneak preview. We are held responsible now for typos. We're held responsible for inadvertent mistakes. That's in the definition in USPAP. I don't know if you knew that, but it's there. Right? New definition of misleading. We're going to talk about that again on Sunday. But folks, it can be overwhelming and it can be frustrating. And I have dealt and talked to so many clients in the last couple of weeks that are just frustrated. I'm not going to use any names, but I just barely sent an audio message to one of my Dream Team members and she's frustrated. And she named 3 or 4 things that are going on. And she's like, man, I'm usually pretty positive. I'm usually pretty optimistic, but I'm getting frustrated. It seems like every time I turn around, there's something new. There's something else that I'm supposed to know. There's something else that I'm supposed to do. And I finally get my business running the way that I want it to run. And I've got these systems in place and customer service is working fine. And the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 are all working fine. And my technology's up and running. Got my server going, all of this stuff. And all of a sudden, everything is turned on its ear. Folks, what do you do when that happens? When we get back from the break, I'm going to give you 4 steps that every one of us should be doing right now during this crazy pandemic. Speaking of pandemic, folks, there are some great companies out there doing some great things. One of them, in the very beginning, within the first few days of this thing hitting us, came up with an awesome tool called the Walkthrough. The company is ANOW. Now, I've been a big fan of ANOW for years. ANOW is the company that allows me to be able to manage everything that goes on in my appraisal office. And they came up with an awesome tool called the walkthrough. Now, in the state of Idaho, and I know many states across the nation, there is a stay-at-home order. Now, what does that mean? Are you an essential worker? Are you not an essential worker? Are you supposed to be going out? Are you not supposed to be going out? Well, folks, I can tell you this. At the very least, ANOW is helping me with my personal appraisals because guess what? I'm not doing any interior inspections for my personal appraisals. None. People call me up. They have a bankruptcy that they're dealing with, or they just want to know the value of their home. Lots of realtors are not even going into homes right now. And how do you value, or how do you price, rather, a home without knowing its value? Well, guess what? We appraisers have the tools at our fingertips, and one of them is the ANOW software walkthrough tool. And basically what it is this. You send a link. It's not software. It's not an app. It's a link that goes to their email, goes to their text message. And by the way, I've used it personally on my own home just to see what it was all about. So easy. Take a picture looking at the house from the street. Boom. Take a picture looking down the street. Boom. Take a picture of the rear of the house from the backyard. Boom. You get all of this. Take a picture of bedrooms. What is the floor covering like? What is the wall covering like? What condition is it in? What quality are we talking about? Folks, this is the kind of information that you can get right now through ANOW, and it doesn't cost you anything if you're an ANOW user. No extra cost. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, great team over there at ANOW. Check them out, folks. If you're not an ANOW user, now is the time to become one. ANOW.com is where it's at. It's ANOW.com. Welcome back to the program, folks. We're talking about snipe hunts today. We're talking about this craziness of running around, looking under logs, looking in culverts, looking in trees, looking behind bushes, trying to find the elusive snipe that, by the way, does not exist. Now, one thing that does exist is appraisals still, and we're still doing them, and we're very, very busy, as a matter of fact, but it feels a little bit like a snipe hunt when you're trying to keep up with all these new laws and regulations and this, that, and the other. And are you in a lockdown state or are you not in a lockdown state? Are you supposed to be going out or are you not supposed to be going out? I'll tell you, folks, it's hard to decipher. And I've read every word of every memo that's come out from every GSE in the last couple of weeks. And it's confusing. It's all written in legalese, right? It's hard to understand. Let me give you 4 steps that you can and should be doing right now to make sure that we are not being misleading, that we are doing the things that we're supposed to do. Okay? Number one, hope you're writing these down. Document everything. Document everything. I'm not just talking about your appraisal report right now, although that's very important as well. I'm also talking about the information that's coming. By the way, one of the things that I like to do when it comes to these challenging and difficult GSE regulations is I will read a document and I will make notes, and then I will reread it based on my notes and make sure that I understood it correctly. So number 1, document everything. For example, I have what's called an inspection cheat sheet right now. And basically it's broken down into 3 big sections, and there's some smaller sections within those sections. But these sections are basically Fannie Mae, FHA, VA, right? And within these sections, it talks about the specific regulations because they're not consistent. I don't know if you knew that, but they're not, right? If you're working as a veteran administration appraiser, it's going to be different right now than if you're working for Fannie Mae. So the first thing that my office does is they check the cheat sheet and say, okay, is this a conventional loan? Is this an FHA loan? Where's it located? Is it vacant? Is it a purchase? Is it a refi? And we can go right down that cheat sheet and know exactly what type of form and what type of quote unquote inspection that we need to do on that. Document everything. That's number 1. Number 2, checklist. I alluded to it just a few minutes ago. Make it as easy as possible. I read a great book years ago called The Checklist Manifesto. It's by an author that I can't even pronounce. I'm not going to try. Checklist Manifesto, great book, and it talks about the importance of boiling stuff down into checklists or talking points rather than full paragraphs. So if you are one to sit down and write out a full paragraph of how to handle an interior purchase for Fannie Mae, folks, trust me, your team will not read it, okay? Boil it down, make it easy, checklist. Number 2, checklist. Number 3, better quality control. We are being super, super careful right now. In fact, I hired someone a couple of weeks actually before the pandemic hit. Well, maybe a week before the pandemic really got real. And she had some prior appraisal experience. And just recently, I moved her into a new position. Now, she's still doing her old job as well, but I took a couple of things off her shoulder and said, listen, I want you to be the quality control person in this report to make sure that number 1, all of page 1 is filled out. A lot of these homes we're not going into, right? And we still need to fill out the floor coverings. We still need to fill out the interior countertops, right? The wainscot. We are still required to get that information and make sure that it's credible. So I've assigned her to make sure that she checks over every one of these things in detail so that we know what's going on. Better quality control. Whatever that means for you in your business, trust me, folks, this is going to pay off in the long run. You can't continue to do what you've always done because life is different now than it was even 6 weeks ago. Okay. Number 4, this is so crucial. Okay. This is the fourth and final step I'll share with you today. Open communication. Okay. Now that can mean a lot of different things on a lot of different levels, but what I'm talking about right now is communication with your team and communication with others. Let's start with your team. I have a great app I use called WhatsApp. Folks, my WhatsApp has been blowing up right now over the last couple of weeks, right? Why? Because I encourage my team to ask questions. Don't just assume something that's going to get us in trouble, okay? So just before I went on the air, I got a WhatsApp from my daughter, who's working for me currently, and she said, Dustin, she calls me Dustin at work, by the way, not Dad. We make that distinction. In fact, I come home from work and I say, how was work? Even though I know how work was because I see her working all day long. We make a very distinct line between work and play. Anyway, she said, Dustin, I have an FHA. It is a new construction, but it's occupied. What do I do? Right? So great question. So we went to the cheat sheet and we went through it together. Open communication, folks. Make sure, and by the way, I hate this idea of open door policy. You've probably heard me talk about that before. I hate the idea of open door policy, okay? But I love the opportunity to give. And by the way, there's a whole lot of reasons for that. I know I just threw that out there and just kind of left it hanging. I'm going to have to leave it hang because this is a mini-sode, but I don't think open door policies are good in general. There's ways to do them to make them better. And one of the ways that you do them is you have an open line of communication to me. I may not get to it in the next 15 minutes. I may not get to it in the next 2 hours, but you can ask me any question that you have, okay? I'm open about the ability for you to be able to ask any question, right? So open communication with your team on a regular basis, usually daily. I'm kind of joking about it being my daily press conference now. I will send out a WhatsApp to the entire team. WhatsApp allows you to do groups or channels. And I have one channel that's called the appraisal office, and it's everybody that works for me. Contractor, employee, all together, they're all on that channel. And pretty much daily lately, I've been saying, okay, guys, here we go. Here's some new changes. Here's some things you need to be aware of. Here's some things I'm noticing happening that we can probably do a little bit better. Open communication with your team. The other thing that I'll end with is open communication with others, folks. And that's why I have the All-Star team. That's why I encourage you to have a mentor, to have a coach, to have a friend, to have a peer. Folks, more than ever, I'm sorry, those of you who still live in this world of I can't talk to another appraiser because they're my competition, boo. Come on, really? Folks, more than ever, we need each other right now. Because guess what? The person down the road from you that's also an appraiser is just as confused as you are, right? You talk to that person, get to know that person. Hey, we work the same market. I know that normally we're competition. I'm using air quotes, okay? Let's work together. Let's figure this out together. If nothing else, folks, I'm giving you the All-Star team for free right now. There's no excuse not to be involved with and communicating with other appraisers. By the way, if you want that, go to my website, theappraisercoach.com, go to memberships, sign up for the All-Star team. Yes, you got to put your credit card in there, but it's not going to get charged if you put in COVID-19, COVID-19 as the coupon code, and you will get it for 30 days. Folks, if you don't like it in 28 days, set a reminder on your phone, right? Cancel the All-Star team. This has been a joke. I don't think you will do that, but do it anyway, okay? Set your alarm just in case. I promise you being a part of a bigger group of appraisers has been invaluable. In fact, I alluded to the cheat sheet earlier. That is on my All-Star team files. You can download it. You can use it. It's free of charge. All of my webinars, all of my member resources, everything's available right now. More than ever, folks, we need each other. We need to work together. Step 1, document everything. Step 2, checklists. Number 3, quality control. And number 4, open communication. Thanks for joining me today. Stay safe out there, everyone. We will talk to you soon.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
People call me up. They're going through a divorce. People call me up. They have an escrow account that they need to sorry, editor, back up.